Hello everyone, welcome to Come Sit at My Table. We're Tom and Melissa. We really do appreciate that you're here for our video. We are at the beginning of summer and it is strawberry season. So today we're going to make some very easy strawberry freezer jam. Now this is what I call a no-cook jam, even though we do have to boil some water. But really, it's not what I consider canning something because we're not going to water bath it. We're not going to pressure can it. It's just a very simple way to make some delicious strawberry jam. So let's talk about the 4 simple ingredients we're going to use to make our jam today. We're going to start with strawberries. Now, I will tell you that I found these strawberries in Paris, Kentucky at a place called Pope Family Farm. They have a really pretty little market there, a little store, and they sell all kinds of things. And when I heard they had strawberries, I didn't fly too fast, but I got there as soon as I could because I wanted to make sure to get a basket of berries before they sold out. And these are beautiful berries. So that's what we're going to use today to make our jam. You're also going to need 4 cups of sugar. Now you cannot skimp on sugar in this recipe. I know some of you are probably saying, there's no way I can't make this if it's 4 cups of sugar. That's too sweet, that's too much. It's jam. You're not eating it every day. It's not going to make a lot of jam. And you have to follow the amounts or this will not turn out. When you're making freezer jam, and any jam really, you have to follow the directions exactly because of the chemistry of it or it won't work. So please don't scrimp on the sugar. If you need to make a jam with less sugar, you're going to need to use a different recipe and a different fruit pectin. You're going to need the Sure-Jell that I think comes in a pink box, and it's called low sugar or no sugar fruit pectin. But there is a recipe you can use if you want to use less or no sugar. It's just not this recipe. You have to use all 4 cups if this is going to turn out correctly.
It won't set up, I'm assuming, right?
It will not set up. And that's a good point. A freezer jam doesn't set up as firm as a regular cooked jam anyway. So you have to follow the directions or it's not going to set up at all. And you'll have something that's really good for ice cream topping. The next thing we're going to need is 3/4 cup of water. And then you're going to need a 1.75 ounce box of Sure-Jell, which is a fruit pectin. That's it. That's all you need. Now, the first thing we have to do is wash our berries and take the stems, the hulls off. Then we're going to mash those. So I know you don't want to stay here and watch me wash strawberries. So I'm going to wash these strawberries. We'll come back and we'll hull those berries and start mashing them. You will need exactly 2 cups of mashed berries. So don't look at what you have and say, well, there's only 6 extra berries. I'll just go ahead and mash those up and put them in there. You have to stick to 2 cups of berries, 4 cups of sugar. All right, let's get the berries washed and we'll make some jam. I did wash my strawberries 3 times because I think better safe than sorry. And now I'm just taking the stems off. I just pinch those off. And then I use this little tool to take the core out. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually made to core tomatoes. I think it's called a tomato coret. But it works perfectly for strawberries. You just go right around that stem and it pops right out.
I'll see if I can find one to link.
Okay, so if we can find one, Melissa will link that for you if you'd like to order it. I use this little thing all the time for different jobs, but it works really well for tomatoes and strawberries. So you just want to take those stems off and then take this hard core out of the middle. You can see where the stem attached, and that's kind of hard. You don't want that in your jam. So you can just pinch that stem off, take out the core, and then you're ready to mash. Now, you will need probably around a quart of berries so that when you mash them, you'll still have about 2 cups of mashed berries. So if you're wondering how many berries should I start with, I would start with a good quart of berries. And then when they're mashed, you should have about 2 cups.
You cannot put extra in the jam.
Absolutely not. Do not put more than 2 cups. And I do recommend that you use a dry measuring cup for this. That way you get exactly 2 cups. All right, I'm just going to keep coring my berries. I'm just using a masher. I guess it's considered a potato masher. And I'm mashing up the berries. You do want them mashed pretty well, but you do want some chunks of berries left in there. You want to know that it's strawberry jam. So mash them pretty well, but they don't need to be pureed. If you want to do this part in a food processor, you can do that. But just don't over process them because you do want some chunks of berries left. Now, all of this juice that we're getting out of these berries will mix with our sugar to sweeten it and to help that pectin work. So just mash it up. Make sure you don't have any whole berries left. And you don't want any huge chunks, like a half of a berry or something. Okay, now, obviously, I have more than 2 cups of mashed berries there. So I'm going to measure out 2 cups and put back in this bowl I'm going to measure out 2 cups, take the rest of it out and put it in a container, put my 2 cups back in here before we add the sugar. So what am I going to do with all this extra strawberry that I've mashed up? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to make another batch after a while. After we do this one on video for you, we're going to make another batch of it because we want to have some to give away. But if you have extra after you've mashed them, you can do a lot of things with it. You can just, after you've made your jam, use those extra berries that you've mashed up, put a little sugar in those too, and just eat it. Put it over pound cake or sponge cake or an angel food cake.
Strawberry shortcake is here.
Absolutely. Use it as an ice cream topping. There are lots of things you can do. All right, so I'm going to get a spoon and we're going to measure out 2 cups that we can add our sugar to. All right, we have mashed our berries. Our bowl is empty. We took the extra berries out and put them in another bowl. So I'm going to add my 2 cups of berries into my bowl. And I do want to get all that out of there. We need all that juice. I should have gotten a spatula so I wouldn't make that noise. Let me do that. Hang on. Okay. I'm just going to scrape that out of there. Perfect. Do this one too. Okay, now we're going to add our 4 cups of sugar. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 cups of sugar in, and I'm going to stir that together. I know it looks like a lot of sugar, and it is, but we're making jam, and that's what jam is.
You just eat a little spoonful at a time. So
That's right. And the truth is we're not even keeping all this. We're sharing it. So now once you have this stirred together and you can see that your sugar is all incorporated, you don't want to do anything until it's all incorporated. So stir, 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 stir. Get it all in there. Make sure you don't see any sugar and that it's all incorporated. And by the way, it will look cloudy. Look how cloudy that is. Then we're going to microwave it. We're going to start with 1 minute, and we will stir it. We'll do another minute probably, and stir it again, and I might even do a third 1 minute microwaving, because that helps that sugar to dissolve. We're not trying to cook it. We're just warming that sugar so that it dissolves easier, because you do not want gritty sugar in your jam. It will ruin the texture of your jam. So I'm just going to take this and put it right in the microwave on high for 1 minute. Then I'll take it out and stir it and check it to see if it's still gritty, and I'm sure it will be. It always is. I'll do a second minute, check it again, and maybe do a third. In we go. Our strawberries have been in the microwave for 3 minutes, 1 minute at a time, stirring between each minute. I can tell that the grittiness is about gone. There's still just a little bit of undissolved sugar, but for the most part, it's dissolved. So we're just going to leave this set right here on the counter you can leave it for anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. And just stir it every little bit. Every 15, 20 minutes, come by and give it a stir. When you can tell that the sugar is pretty much dissolved, then you can go on to the next step. But I'm probably gonna leave this about 30 minutes or so. And I'll just stir it a couple of times to make sure the sugar's completely dissolved, and then we'll add our pectin. We have let our strawberry mixture stand for about 30 minutes. I have checked it, and it definitely does not have any grittiness. So I've brought my 3/4 cup water to a boil. I'm adding my pectin, and I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute. And we're going to let that come to a boil. Actually, I should have set my timer after it came back to a boil. Let's just stop that timer. I want that to come back to a full rolling boil. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute, and we're going to let that boil, and I'm going to stir it the entire time. I'm just going to whisk that. You don't have to use a whisk, but I find that's easier to use. I don't know if you can see how that's boiling or not, Melissa, but you definitely want it to be at a boil where it cannot be stirred down. And we're just going to let that boil for 1 minute. All right, our 1 minute is over. So I'm going to turn my heat off, and I'm immediately taking my pectin. I'm going to stir it right into my strawberry mixture. By the way, you can see there's a little foam on the top of my strawberry mixture, that pink foam. We don't mind that at all. That does not bother us. If it does bother you, if you don't like the looks of it, you can skim that off there, but we don't bother with doing that. We just leave it. And now I'm just going to stir that pectin in. Make sure that it is stirred in completely. And I have to stir this for 3 full minutes. So you might want to set a timer and just keep stirring. You do not want to stop for 3 full minutes. Now that I have stirred my mixture, I'm just going to fill my jars. We do want to leave about 1/2 inch of head space, because if we decide to do these in the freezer, which we're going to, you will need a little room for them to expand. So we're just going to leave about 1/2 inch of head space or so. I can put just a little more in that one. Not quite 1/2 inch there. There we go. Okay. Now before you put a lid on them, you will want to wipe those rims, and we will do that in just a minute. I'm just going to keep filling jars. This mixture, once you get it in your jars, needs to sit on your counter undisturbed for 24 hours. Then after 24 hours, you can refrigerate it or freeze it. If you're refrigerating it, you need to use it within about a month, 3 to 4 weeks. If you put it in the freezer, it will stay good in your freezer for a year or more. So you don't have to worry about it in the freezer if you put it there. It will stay fresh for a long time. All right, I'm just going to keep filling my jars. When you get down to the end of your jars and there's a little bit of strawberry left in your bowl, but not enough to fill another jar, this is what we do. We just put it in a small bowl, and Melissa and I set that to the side, and that's ours for this evening. We can have that on a biscuit or pour it over some ice cream or whatever we want to do with it. Eat it with a spoon, huh, Melissa?
I guess you could do that for sure.
Yeah, I think we have. All right. So we have our little bowl that we're going to use. Now I'm going to take our jar, and I'll just take a damp paper towel, and I want to wipe the rim. I like to move the jar rather than my paper towel. I just think it's easier to control. Top it with a lid and a ring. You don't want to tighten it down so tight that it has no room to expand. Just finger tight. And when I say finger tight, I use my thumb and my first finger to tighten it. And that's all we do. Now, we are not going to refrigerate this, like I said. We are going to leave this right here on the counter for 24 hours before we refrigerate it or freeze it. So that means it's going to be tomorrow before we can come back and do a taste test with you, but we will do that. Well, good morning. Our strawberry freezer jam has set overnight, and I want you to look what a beautiful color. And I'm sure this is going to taste wonderful. There are a couple of things I want to go over with you before we open the jam and put some on a biscuit, because Melissa and I are going to have breakfast this morning. First, I think I forgot yesterday in the video to mention washing the jars. Now, I know most of you know that. Many of you have been canning and putting up food for years. But for those who are new, younger people or people who are just starting, you do have to make sure your jars are completely clean. I run mine through the dishwasher and I put it on the sterilized cycle. That way I'm sure that they're clean and they're sterile. You don't have to do that. You can wash them with good hot soapy water in your sink and just let them drain. The jars don't have to be hot when you fill them. With freezer jam, other types of canning, you may want to make sure your jar is hot, but for freezer jam, the jar does not have to be hot, but mine were. I literally took them straight out of the dishwasher before we filled them. So I wanted to make sure those of you who are new to canning or putting up food realize these your jars need to be scrubbed. Second, I want you to know, and this is again for people who are new to this, these are not shelf stable. You cannot just store these in your pantry. This is a freezer jam. The lid is not sealed. Listen to this. Hear that? That means it's not sealed. So it cannot just sit on your shelf. It needs to be in your refrigerator or your freezer. In the refrigerator, it will last 3 to 4 weeks, a good month. If you store them in your freezer, they'll last easily a year. So I just wanted to make sure you knew, those of you who are new to this, that these are not shelf stable. They do need to be stored in the refrigerator or freezer. First 24 hours, you're going to leave them out on your counter to allow them to gel, to set up, then store them. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Oh my. And look how it's gelled. See that? It's no longer running. It has set up beautifully. All right, this is the part I've been waiting for. Let's have a biscuit. I'm so ready for breakfast. Now, you know we can't have a biscuit and jam without some butter on it, right? There you go, butter, start melting on there. You want that butter all over your biscuit. You want some butter in every single bite. So just spread it around there. Okay. Let's scoop out some of this beautiful jam. Look at this. Wow. That is so pretty. Doesn't that look nice?
It does.
Are you ready for a bite?
I'm definitely ready for a bite.
I know you're ready for breakfast. Okay, here we go.
So nice.
That is delicious. Wow.
Wish we could share this with everybody.
I know. Wish I could just reach through the screen and give you a bite. It's sweet, but it's not overly sweet. And I know you're probably thinking, how could it not be overly sweet? You put 4 cups of sugar in it. But it really isn't. The strawberry flavor is really strong. You can taste the strawberry. I love that there are chunks of strawberries in there. So don't pulverize your strawberries. Don't puree them. Leave some chunks in there. You want to know this is strawberry. That's fabulous. Guys, anybody can do this. Literally, you could put your middle school, high schoolers to work with this recipe and they could do it. It's that simple. So make yourself some strawberry freezer jam. It's really good. These other 4 are going to our kids. They can't stay here because we'll eat them all. Actually, I made 2 batches yesterday. So those are going to our kids and the others are going to other people. All right. Thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate you watching our videos. Right below this video, there's a like button. We would appreciate you clicking that. There's a subscribe button also right below the video. If you haven't clicked it before, we invite you to click it. The little notification bell beside of it and the word all, that just subscribes you to our channel. And we invite you to do that. Right below the video, there's a description box. In it, you will see where it says strawberry freezer jam. If you click anywhere in that box, it will expand. Melissa always puts the written recipe right there for you, so you don't have to write it down as we go. Under that recipe, you'll see the word more. If you'll click the word more, that box will expand even further. You'll find our mailing address and you'll find a link where you can go to Amazon to purchase our cookbook if you're interested in getting a copy of it. Also, at the very bottom of the page, there's a place for you to leave a comment, and we love hearing from you. So feel free to go down there and leave us a comment. We would appreciate that. Thanks again for watching. We do appreciate it. We want you to know that you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day.